welcome to InfoHub Extended. Judges and prosecutors of Commonwealth member countries came together for what turned out to be a historic and eventful experience at the Pegasus Hotel between May 3 and 5. This week, we take a look at some of the main issues that emerged from the confab. 53 representatives of Commonwealth member states converged on May 3 for the start of a two-day confab. The event was organized by the Caribbean Financial Action Task Force in collaboration with the Commonwealth Secretariat and the Caribbean Development Bank. The meeting opened avenues for the legal luminaries to share experiences on countering terrorist financing and money laundering. While this is the first time such an event was held in Guyana, the Financial Action Task Force conducted similar workshops jointly with CFTAF-style regional bodies in Quito, Ecuador in September 2017, in Shenzhen, China in January of this year, in Tunisia in February, and more recently Strasbourg, France in March. Among the issues covered were those relating to investigative orders, the prosecution and management of money laundering cases, international cooperation, confiscation and restraint orders, conviction-based confiscation and terrorist financing.
The future of Guyana has never looked better. Our nation is on the cusp of a development program like never seen before. While Guyana is now emerging as an energy giant through the discovery of massive reserves of oil and natural gas, it is your government's intention that the huge benefits emerging from this will go where it matters most, to you, the people of this beloved country. There is a surge of confidence in the way Guyana is governed once again, and the level of investor interest is unprecedented. Guyana is poised to become the breadbasket of the region, and the pace at which this nation will grow through prudent fiscal management will be nothing short of impressive. But more than anything else will be the way every Guyanese, regardless of color, class, or creed, becomes a part of this historic period of national transformation, sharing in the wealth and well-being of it all as one Guyana.
Roundabouts. Approaching a roundabout. When you approach a roundabout, you must use your indicator if you intend to turn left or right or make a U-turn at the roundabout. You must give other road users sufficient notice of your intent to turn. Entering a roundabout. When entering a roundabout, you must slow or stop to give way to any vehicle already in the roundabout. You must also continue to use your indicators if you intend to turn left or right or make a U-turn. Turning left. When turning left, you must indicate left on approach and be travelling in the left-hand lane unless there are road markings with other instructions. Stay in the left lane and exit in the left lane. Turning right. When turning right, you must indicate right on approach and be travelling in the right-hand lane unless there are road markings with other instructions. Making a U-turn. When using a roundabout to make a U-turn, you must approach in the right lane and signal right. Changing lanes in a roundabout. Drivers may change lanes in a roundabout if they wish. The usual road rules for changing lanes apply. You must use your indicator and give way to any vehicle in the lane you are entering. Going straight ahead. You don't need to signal when approaching the roundabout if you are going straight ahead. You may approach the roundabout from either the left or right lane unless there are road markings with other instructions. Exiting a roundabout. As when you exit a road, you must signal left when leaving a roundabout, if it is practical to do so, and you should stop indicating as soon as you have exited the roundabout. However, when you are travelling straight ahead on a small single-lane roundabout, it may be impractical to indicate when exiting.
Daddy!
Attending the two-day session were President David Granger, Guyana's Attorney General and Minister of Legal Affairs, Basil Williams, and Commonwealth Secretary General, the Right Baroness Patricia Scotland. Guyana was represented at the workshop by Director of Public Prosecution, Shalimar Alihak, Assistant DPP, Tishana Lake, Madam Justice Joanne Barlow, and Justice Navindra Singh.
Addressing the legal minds, President David Granger pointed out that the rule of law must be strengthened if the fight against terrorist financing and money laundering will be successful. He explained that the Caribbean's geographic location has opened it as a haven for financial pirates, privateers, money launderers, and tax evaders.
Present-day information communication technologies can facilitate the transfer of financial assets across the borders at the speed of light. Illicit proceeds can contaminate the voluminous transactions which take place within our country's financial systems. Caribbean citizens, without the protection of the law, could become captive to slick organized crime. The criminal justice systems of small states must be safeguarded from the subversion of organized crime.
The head of state spoke of Guyana's efforts in countering money laundering and other financial crimes, which he revealed started some 18 years ago with the passage of key pieces of legislation. Such laws have corrected deficiencies in the anti-money laundering and countering the financing of terrorism regime. They have also allowed for the compliance with the standards imposed by the Caribbean Financial Action Task Force.
Guyana has strengthened its institutions. The Bank of Guyana, the Financial Intelligence Unit, and the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions, which have been empowered with authority and autonomy and equipped with the technical resources and personnel to discharge their functions on this anti-money laundering and the countering of financing of terrorism legislation.
President Granger further reaffirmed Guyana's commitment to erecting an impregnable criminal justice system in its campaign to combat financial crimes. Attorney General and Minister of Legal Affairs Basil Williams said the work of judges and prosecutors remain critical to consolidating stable and effective institutions of integrity. He described these features as the pillars of the robust anti-money laundering regime. The Attorney General said that the region's overall rate of convictions and confiscation of criminal proceeds have been moderate. This comes despite many countries implementing legislative measures to criminalize money laundering and terrorist financing, as well as proliferation financing.
If the global AML-CFT efforts are to be effective, it is absolutely necessary that countries also obtain convictions and pursue seizing and confiscating the proceeds of instrumentalities of crime for the benefit of states and of victims. Additionally, countering violent extremism is an important element in the fight against extremists who seek to recruit, radicalize, and mobilize their followers for criminal acts of violence. The outcomes of previous workshops held by CFTAF in the other regions of the world demonstrate that there are a greater number of common challenges and practices to be addressed with regard to issues such as resources, risk understanding, international cooperation, proper asset recovery, and management, the applicable standard of proof, and admissibility of classified information as evidence signaling the crucial significance we're having this workshop.
Delivering remarks at the opening session, Commonwealth Secretary General Baroness Patricia Scotland urged attendees to be vigilant guardians of their country's financial institutions. She established that financial organs of almost every country are under threat of being exploited for criminal and terrorist purposes. She emphasized that judges and prosecutors therefore have a duty to be vigilant guardians, protecting the safety and well-being of all people.
Ensuring that we have the capacity to safeguard our institutions in order to prevent them from being exploited by criminal and terrorist purposes. And money is the lifeblood of violent extremism. It is the enabler of the activities and the wicked webs of connection which sustain the ideology of hate. So the sources of this funding are really diverse, and they flow with constantly shifting channels of distribution. And our adversaries are imaginative and cunning. And as one revenue stream is closed, another is opened. And to stem the supply that sustains terrorism and violent extremism, we have to ensure that we have the best and the most up-to-date legal and criminal justice tools available.
The training program, she said, came at a very critical time. The fourth round of the Anti-Money Laundering and Countering the Financing of Terrorism assessment of the Financial Action Task Force will involve two interrelated components, technical compliance and effectiveness. The technical compliance component will assess whether the laws, regulation, or other required measures are enforced and effective. The effectiveness component will ascertain whether the AML-CFT systems are working, the SG explained.
That opportunity for us to collaborate and to share best practice and explore those matters will be fully set out in the Innovation Hub. So my purpose in creating this new facility is to assist member countries with reform of legislation and to provide technical support towards strengthening the rule of law and the capacity of the institutions and officials working to consolidate it. We've heard for so many years small states say we don't have sufficient number of parliamentary draftsmen and women. We have struggles with resources, and all of these issues are issues which the 53 countries of the Commonwealth, which represent 2.4 billion people, 60% of whom are under the age of 30, we all have the same problem. So rather than working separately, we can work together. We've been saying we have two choices. We can either swim together or we can drown separately. And I certainly am from swimming, and since I don't swim very well, I need some people to support me.
With Guyana's oil to start flowing soon, the country has been commended for putting measures in place to protect its financial system. On the sidelines of Day 2 of the CFTAF workshop, Baroness Scotland opined that the country is building a resilient financial system and reaffirmed her commitment to Guyana in this regard.
The future of Guyana has never looked better. Our nation is on the cusp of a development program like never seen before. While Guyana is now emerging as an energy giant through the discovery of massive reserves of oil and natural gas, it is your government's intention that the huge benefits emerging from this will go where it matters most, to you, the people of this beloved country. There is a surge of confidence in the way Guyana is governed once again, and the level of investor interest is unprecedented. Guyana is poised to become the breadbasket of the region, and the pace at which this nation will grow through prudent fiscal management will be nothing short of impressive. But more than anything else will be the way every Guyanese, regardless of color, class, or creed, becomes a part of this historic period of national transformation, sharing in the wealth and well-being of it all as one Guyana.
You have been watching another edition of InfoHub Extended, where we highlighted some of the main issues coming out of the recently held CFTAF Judges and Prosecutors Conference. Do join us again next time.